NBA fans are on their heels every offseason trying to see if their star players from their teams will stay loyal to them. Ever since the start of the NBA super teams this season, players have been jumping around teams, fluctuating the skill balance of teams for one reason: a championship ring. We can consider this back all the way back to the days of possibly Michael Jordan or LeBron James, but one particular offseason move is what many people are now considering the start of super teams: Kevin Durant to the Oklahoma City Warriors. Back when Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson played, super teams weren't bought, but built. Money wasn't at all the driving factor of talent recruitment as loyalty was. I've been watching the NBA for the past 17 years and have never seen the state that it's currently in. Today, the NBA players' low level of loyalty is one of the sole factors that makes the NBA so skillfully unbalanced. It's honestly sometimes a joke to see the Golden State Warriors go up against the Atlanta Hawks, or a team of such a low skill level. To begin with, the background of the current state of the NBA. So as of right now, I would consider there's only about 8 truly good teams that are always in contention for the NBA championship. The number one, of course, is the Golden State Warriors, followed by the Cleveland Cavaliers. And as you all may know, the Golden State Warriors have recently acquired, like I said before, the acquirement of Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is a reigning 2-time MVP and 5-time All-Star. He currently joins reigning MVP Steph Curry, along with Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Zaza Pachulia, all of which are All-Stars. Now, with this move, Kevin Durant was previously on the Oklahoma City Thunder. While he was on the Thunder, he led them to 1 championship appearance, and not to mention he had 2 MVPs on this team. What this did to Oklahoma City Thunder was leave Russell Westbrook, a reigning MVP, all by himself, and the Oklahoma City Thunder dropping 3 C's in playoff contention. Their record has dropped 20%, and they've had to acquire over probably around 5 players just to rebuild their team. When LeBron left the Miami Heat, he went back to his hometown of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, Cleveland has become a super team ever since he came back, but he left Miami in the dust in rebuild mode. What this does is it shows how NBA players, they aren't very loyal to the teams that they invested so much in them. Take, for example, Kyrie Irving. He left Cleveland. They drafted him number 1 overall, gave him a maximum amount contract, meaning he earns $200 million every single year, in which he all gave it up just so he could join a better team than the Boston Celtics. Now, for some of these players, championships is the only thing that matters. All they care about is having another ring on their finger, but not another crying fan in the stands. Along with these trades comes a recent offseason as this one, as Carmelo Anthony and Paul George, 2 of the NBA's best players, left their respective teams to go to the Oklahoma City Thunder to fill in the footsteps of Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant was such a good player that he not only, what he would do was, he was such a good MVP and reigning player that you just can't make up for that sort of talent. They had to find any sort of talent they could to reestablish what Kevin Durant had built in Oklahoma City. When Paul George and Carmelo Anthony left their respective teams, the New York Knicks, in which Carmelo left, they became extremely worse going into rebuild mode, and then Paul George leaving the Pacers had to go into rebuild mode. Once these superstars leave their teams don't have anything left. The NBA is all built around one premise: 1 to 2 players leading teams to success. Back in the day of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, teams weren't like this. Money wasn't the driving factor. Teams couldn't offer a player an unlimited amount of money. What teams would have to do is they would have to let the player buy into their program, buy into their success. They weren't buying the players were buying them. And in today's current NBA, this is clearly not the case. When Chicago recruited Michael Jordan, they wanted him because of how good of a player he was. He didn't care about how much money they had. He liked the program that they had going for him. And this is obviously not the case for today's NBA. For some statistics in the Michael Jordan era, teams had record percentages to 500. 500 means that teams that are closer to 500 are more balanced, meaning they have wins and losses closer together. Teams that are further away from 500 means that their wins and losses are further spread out. In today's NBA, teams are much further away, meaning that there are more good teams as well as more bad teams. To create a competitive and balanced NBA, we want more medium teams, as so to speak. When Oklahoma City lost Kevin Durant, their winning percentage dropped by 10% and have dropped 3 playoff seeds. The Indiana Pacers percentage since Paul George left has dropped 20%, and they aren't even in the playoffs, in which they were in the Eastern Conference Championship while he was in Indiana. Who knows what will happen after the acquirement of Kyrie Irving to the Cavaliers or Isaiah Thomas to the Celtics. The NBA has become such a twisted society that no one knows who will stay loyal to each other anymore. The effects of star players leaving their teams has an absolutely drastic effect on the teams that the stars are leaving, but an absolutely positive an effect in which the teams that will gain these players could possibly win an NBA championship. The NBA will only grow worse as these players begin to start to build super teams and build for the future. And as for these other teams, the road may end.